Comic fam! This next podcast is with my dad. I'm going to ask you to like and subscribe right now because I want to motivate him to do more podcasts with us. So if he sees a lot of engagement, maybe he'll do more. Without further ado, what did Mark Grant have to say?
Mark Grant says 3 weeks ago, please, no more Stormtrooper helmet t-shirts and posters or statues. Please, no more.
He doesn't like the Stormtrooper.
No. What happened was that we did multiple episodes.
In one sitting?
One sitting.
And you forgot a shirt.
Yeah, and you changed your shirt. I didn't. And granted, I do have way too many of these shirts.
Right.
So I was going to wear one just to piss him off.
In spite of Mark Grant. Well, we do appreciate him, though, for posting a comment.
Absolutely. And I really didn't mean to.
It motivates us to keep it fresh, to put new shirts on.
Absolutely, man.
It's good stuff. We had another comment, didn't we?
Yeah, this is one of my favorites. So on the Finding Gold episode, Kyle Carson wrote, "You miss 100% of the shots you don't take." And it's a Wayne Gretzky quote that Michael Scott quoted on The Office. And then he puts Tom's dad.
Heck yeah.
Which absolutely made my day, man, because we are giant Office freaks.
Office every day.
Oh, I'm on the third run through, so that's awesome.
You got some catching up to do.
Also on the High Grade episode, Estrella, who's probably one of my favorite followers, she wrote, "Wow, what a story. I wish I hit a gold mine with unlimited funds. LOL to your dad's expression on the feeling on the hunt." I looked back on it.
That was authentic.
I enjoy that way too much. And one thing that I will say to Estrella, you don't have to have a gold mine.
Right.
You if you're looking and you're open to those experiences, you can find stuff on the cheap. And that's what we always look, like we said before, you go on those quarter bin boxes, you'll find gold in there all day, every day. So you just have to spend the time. The episode of this podcast here, Living on a Comic Book Store, is one of the first episodes we did. Yeah. Verse Wander wrote, "I'm not a jealous person, but I'm kind of jealous of guys who had and still have their fathers in their life." That's true. That was pretty deep.
Yeah.
And
deep comment.
Absolutely. And it made me think how fortunate we are to do what we do and to have the relationship we do. We're really close. I talk to this guy 4 or 5 times a day, and he's my best friend. Whenever I do something, he's the one that I'm going to call. And my wife, both of them, they're the people that I talk to. And
I think Andy Bernard says it in The Office. It's like one of his last quotes. He says, like, "I wish you knew that."
Yeah,
like, I wish you knew that you were in the best of times when they were happening.
Yeah.
Because it reminds me of us starting this like comic book journey, because we did comics. You know, even like my limited participation in it when you were doing it. When we were doing comics, it was a different time.
Right.
This wasn't anything like it is now. Even at shows with a lot of the same dealers, the types of inventory that we were dealing with, the overall community of like what it was way more niche. I mean, we're talking over a decade ago.
Yeah.
Completely different ballgame.
Absolutely.
And we pick up your story soon after you kind of entering this new market that doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
What I mean by that, with like this stuff that doesn't exist, when we chat about these stories to customers or to friends or new followers of like our past life, like when we did comic books in the 90s, in the early 2000s, the kind of comics that were being sought after are the ones that are now viewed as like gems, super scarce, valuable books. Spider-Man 300 was commonplace. That wasn't a big book. I think I watched you sell that book for what? $30?
$30.
And that was nothing. Yeah. It was nothing back then.
And that was one of the things we were in it. Like when we were talking about it, let's do an episode of us in it. We're doing it. And it's weird because you think, oh, these guys will do Emerald City Comic Con, San Diego Comic Con, all this other stuff. But the real deal.
What was our every day? What was it actually like on a weekly basis? What we did? It wasn't Emerald City.
No. Like we have said before. Yeah, we have said before. We go and buy and look for at yard sales, estate sales. But when we would sell, there's little shows, and you should look in your neck of the woods. There's people that put this together, and they'll rent a place in a school, and
let's actually walk through someone like, okay, this was a standard Saturday morning for us. We'd get up at what, 4:30, 5:30 in the morning.
Something like that, to be there just so that we can start packing, decide what we're going to bring, and then pack our car, drive so that we can be there by 8.
We get some food in the morning, something cheap because we're trying to make money. So we're driving, trying to get something on the cheap.
Yeah, we don't want to be hungry while we're
And
there.
we're gonna need lunch while we're there too. Because if we don't
lots
do
of
that,
coffee.
yeah.
So we
we
would
stock up.
Yeah, we would bring a little lunch with us. We would go out for breakfast and just get all psyched up. Bring thermos of coffee always, and we would do the one that comes to mind is we used to do a show, and it's called Totem Lake Mall.
Oh, at the mall.
Right.
That's right. We did
And
we did that mall show like every couple
every month.
months,
No,
right? Every month?
They had it every month.
Yeah, because I would go there almost every other month with you, if not every month.
$25 for a table.
That's right.
That we would pay. And the thing is, it's not what you're thinking. When we say a mall, this place is dead. There's 3 stores still open. One of them is all country buffet. So we watched these, 100-year-old people going in for their, the one meal. And
You're setting up a wall with ASM. You got your Beast Adventures and,
all the cool stuff that we had. So we have, and one of the things that I was telling you about, we meet all these cool people doing this, and one of them is John Hill from Hills of Comics. Shout out to Hills of Comics.
over in Auburn.
We would always do these together. He's the one that turned me on to this, so he would be next to me. We would always set up together. And now I have this comic book, and I know what I have. I have a Spider-Man 300, and looking back, it's about 9.6, 9.8 raw. And he wanted to buy it from me. And I look it up in the guide. It's $30 near mint.
At that time. So this is before even
So that was,
Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 3 hit theaters.
So that was the deal. The comic guide comes out in whatever month it comes out. And sometime later, I'm going to sell this. So it doesn't reflect the fact that Spider-Man 3 is coming out.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, you didn't have a weekly show you can watch every Friday to know
Right.
what's hot of the week.
I know. So I look at the guide, and it says $30 near mint. And I was fine. Still to this day, I
You're like, oh,
I did the right
this
thing.
is fair, right? This
I
is
was
what guide says.
Correct.
Sure.
So my friend John comes in. He's like, hey, you have this Spider-Man 300. He doesn't even make me an offer. He asks me, how much would you like for it? And I say, $30. And he says, okay. And he gives me $30.
Sure.
Walks away, comes back 2 hours later. And he's like, hey, come here, man. You know that comic book you just sold me, $30? I'm like, yeah. Spider-Man 300. It's a nice one, man. Yeah, and it's awesome condition. Yeah, I just sold it for $120.
At the same show?
Yeah. I wasn't mad.
No, you can't be mad at him for that.
I was happy that he made money and I made money. Granted, but this is how I always see it. All these comic books that I have, it literally cost me a fraction of a penny, each one of them.
Because of the collection that you bought. It was
Right.
like you look at everything as one whole thing.
Yeah.
And by selling these to other dealers, like, what's the karma look like?
Yeah.
That kind of karma is unmatched by anything in this lifetime.
Exactly.
Comic book karma,
The best.
there's nothing like you pray to Thor that you experience in your life. Because
You need that. And right now I can go to his shop.
I bet
because of that,
I bet he now looks back on that and goes, "We should have sold that for."
a month later,
Yeah,
he's like, dude, I sold that for 120. What's wrong with me?
we've all been there.
Yeah.
It happens.
And that book now,
Yeah.
it's worth way more. And he could have graded it. Anyway.
Let's actually chat a little bit about what that was like. So this is a different comic book game. The stuff that people were after were only those hot books. So I remember being at these shows, being really into things like Civil War. And I remember going through boxes and looking at Civil War #1, which right now is like a $15, $20, maybe even, I haven't priced it in the recent price guide, but it doesn't matter. It's not a super hot book, but definitely above a $10 book in near mint, and seeing them like for $2 a piece over and over and over again. And to me at that time thinking, oh, I can buy this for $3. It's a cool book. And having you and having John say, why are you spending $3 on that crap? We have that in
have
stacks.
tons of those.
So and I'm thinking of other books that were kind of in line with that. One thing I remember us having a ton of, like an absurd amount of, was that Harley Quinn Joker Alex Ross
I had so
cover.
many of those. It's one of my favorite covers too, by the way.
It's one of the all-time best
It
covers
is
that
Alex
he's
Ross.
ever done. Yeah.
Anything he does is just amazing.
And we had so many
Ton
of those.
of them. But I believe
No one would buy those for
but
more than like a what?
I
What did you
think
sell those for?
Tabby, I think it was $10.
$10.
$10, and I had stacks of them, and they wouldn't sell.
Right. So and that's my point, is that the stuff that sold was the stuff that's most wanted right now.
It depends
And
the time,
and when you're in the convention, that's what you were dealing with.
right?
Everything else was super cheap. So all the stuff now that we're like super excited to get, ooh, there's a Man Thing #1. That's so great. That was like just commonplace. That was your cheap books back then.
Right.
And the really expensive stuff pales in comparison to what they sell for now.
Yeah, I still to this day.
Should we talk about it?
No, I guess. I guess
It
hurts.
We need it. We need
hurts.
it. It needs to be documented somewhere. And we're going to document it right now, I think.
Yeah.
You sold.
Yep.
Would you say this is your biggest seller's regret?
Absolutely. Yeah, there's no comparison.
Why not?
It's that one, and the second one is down here. It just doesn't even.
Okay, so what did you do?
So, in the collection that I bought, there were many comic books, but there was a run, not just one. I had a run of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I had a one #1, two #2s, and I believe it's like 3 #4s or something like that.
You had a couple #3s too. I remember
I
that
had
#3
the
cover.
1 through 4. I had
You had the
multiples of them, but with just one #1.
And that #1 was a #1.
Yeah, it was real. It took me.
Gobbledygook and all.
Yeah, it took me forever to figure out if it's a real one or not.
What was that like, showing all of the fellow dealers that book? Because I'm sure that there was a number of people who wanted to see it.
A lot of drooling.
Yeah.
And the thing is that I really didn't care. I was at that point. All I wanted was to make some extra money.
Mm-hmm.
And again, my mentality was I paid fraction of a penny for each of these comics, and I just whatever. And I had a friend that really wanted that comic book, but he was very subtle about it. And
Over a decade ago.
yeah.
So what did a TMNT #1 first print even? Did they even have a near mint guide? I don't think it did back then.
Back then, I would look it up, and literally, you look up the #1 TMNT, and it said this book has sold for as much as $100,000 or something like that, or as little as
It doesn't say it
$100.
after a certain grade.
Yeah,
it's it's subjective or something.
I've never
right?
seen.
I remember that at some point in my collecting experience, seeing that in a price guide, that it didn't even quote.
I
a
have
near mint
never
price.
seen.
It's in the most recent price guide. I think
Yeah,
at
we
like
looked it up.
5,600 and 9.2.
Yeah.
But back then it wasn't even there. So you knew you had something special.
Right.
But what happened?
So this friend of mine, he really wanted it, and he caught me at a time where it was the right time, and he was talking to me about it, and he hadn't even asked me, and I just knew that he was a huge fan of the series, and I finally said, you know what, I'll sell it to you. I'll sell it to you cheap. How much you give me for it? He gave me a number, and I said, sure.
Okay.
Take it.
How I can see it in your eyes that it's how, you don't have to say how much, but how bad was it?
From bad to dear God, what do you do? It was. It's not even. I can't even express it. It wasn't even.
It was bad.
It was bad. It was bad. I sold
Should
it
have been
very,
in
very
the
cheap.
thousands.
Yeah.
Was it in the thousands or in the hundreds?
No. It was. I can't even say.
No, it
I
wasn't.
can't even
Okay,
say.
so it wasn't good. It wasn't. But you know what?
I was
Comic book
fine.
Karma. Oh yeah, and to you it didn't matter. You were hustling conventions and doing what you had to do.
I was happy, but the thing was, Cody. That's his name. He said, "Listen, I will get this, and I promise you that if I ever sell this, you get half. You get half the money."
Okay, cool. I like to hope that he still has it.
Yeah, let's hope he does. Yeah. And he walks the other way when he sees me at conventions. So I have a feeling that he sold it.
You have a feeling?
Yeah.
This is over a decade ago, you know.
He
dust is settled.
It hurts.
It's okay.
It hurts every time I think about it.
But that's only one example of one comic book that we have encountered and we have dealt with in our journey in this comic book game. And I'm excited to chat with our audience about more of them.
Yeah, seriously. And if you have anything that to this day you go, I wish I could go back.
Right.
I wish I had that again.
You know, it happens. We all have those stories, but that's what makes this hobby and this passion of ours so much fun.
Yeah.
We really do appreciate your time.
Yeah, thank you.
As always.
Geek responsibly.
Enough said. Holy smokes, we just blew past 2,300 subs. Thank you and welcome to the channel, all the new peeps. You guys are awesome.